Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters
in the mental health field,
talking about all things stressy
and depressy. Disclaimer, we always needed to get it over with, but we're not mental health professionals yet.
Even so, we don't know you. We don't know your situation.
You don't know
We cannot
us.
provide mental health advice, so don't take it that way.
Yeah, no, this is just for fun education purposes. Cool. And if you're like, wow, Allie, your sound quality sounds so good, which hopefully you haven't noticed a great difference. But if you have, I finally have my microphone back that I continue to forget. I've been home multiple times to my parents' house and every time forget it. But I finally remembered it.
We love it.
I was home and Sammy and I, my brother's girlfriend, made all the welcome bags for the people staying at the hotel for my wedding.
It's coming up. Especially by the time this is released. Yeah.
Yeah, by the time this is released, I'll know if I have matched.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hi, future people.
I know.
I find out Monday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, so by the time this is released, it'll be like the day prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually did not expect that I would feel so much better after I submitted my list. That I don't know why, but somehow it truly feels like it's totally out of my hands now and there's nothing I can do. I feel like I found myself ruminating before of like things I should have, could have, would have done different, or just obviously just the mental energy. I didn't realize how much I was like really thinking about and like just like couldn't, like, I don't know, just spending the mental energy on like figuring out where to place certain programs.
Interesting.
Once now that it's submitted, I'm like, okay, so like it feels like whatever, but I am nervous. But I feel like every day the goal is just to find ways to distract myself. But yeah, I feel okay.
That's it's funny how I feel like we're a little bit different in this process, but
100%.
Like submitting rankings for me was like, I've had a pretty good idea throughout, I guess. I was really like converging on a list as I was interviewing, and then it felt pretty clear to me. It was really actually between ranking and finding out. Those 2 weeks were probably like the worst time where I was questioning everything and being like, it was once I truly couldn't do anything anymore where I need to work that radical acceptance muscle a bit more. I was trying, but I feel like I was like really having a time because I couldn't, there was no more that was within my control. But I feel like I should say, because this is the next episode since pre-match for me.
Oh my gosh.
If you follow us on Instagram, you know that I did match, which is really exciting.
Yes, and she matched her number one choice, people.
Yes, I was actually debating whether to share that piece just because I was like, if anyone like professionally does listen to this, I think it's okay though, because I'm not going to ultimately share like where I am going to be. And the reason for that is like, also, again, just knowing that I am like just the professional piece. I'm people's therapist. Like it could get murky.
Yeah, I don't think you have to explain that. I think
anyway.
That's,
yeah. No, but I don't know. I mean, you probably don't have to look too hard to like figure it out if you don't know. But and if anyone knows me in my personal life, you probably know. Or if you know me personally, you're welcome to reach out to figure out where it is.
I know.
But I'm really, really happy. I know we did that whole episode on managing disappointment, and I'm now really on the other side of things, just trying to like soak in the gratitude for everything that happened. I'm really, really excited for
that was such a good day. I mean, like,
really,
that was crazy. I was at a second look for a program and I was having dreams all night about Missy's matching stuff, and I woke up like in a frenzy, and it was like kind of right before 8. So I don't know, maybe 7:45. And so I'm just like waiting by the phone, just Like literally, I woke up and I go, Missy, Missy. And Lucas is like, what? Like he thought I was
Oh.
like talking in my sleep, but I was awake. And yeah, then I saw you texted the program name in the group chat and I just start like going like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And Lucas is like, what is it? What is it? I like cannot even get out the words. So that was so exciting. And you called right away. And that was just
Yeah.
telling everyone. It was so exciting. It was so great.
It was a really, really exciting moment. Yeah, I arose that morning at like 5 a.m., not by choice, but just because my body, I knew I wasn't going to sleep very well that night. And by the time it was like 5, I'd been like tossing and turning, and I was like, okay, I'm just awake at this point. I actually was proud of myself though. I didn't check at all until 7. Like I was just up
Wow.
because I was kind of like, it's so unlikely it would come this early. And I need to just not have my whole morning. Otherwise, like by the time I started checking, it was like constant refresh basically. So I knew that I wanted to like actually have a peaceful morning. Um, it ended up coming after 8 a.m. So they did not lie to us. It was between 8 and 9. And yeah, it was a really,
It
really,
was like 8:07.
yeah, it was something like
I
that.
remember
Some
exact.
years
Yeah.
apparently it comes before then. So I was
So
prepared.
I can't. My heart is going pet to pat to. I'm like thinking about
I
my
know,
stuff.
say,
I
oh,
will say, I feel like I can share because literally by the time this comes out, there will be an outcome, right?
yeah.
Um, but what was hard was like a few days after that, I found out that I won't say whatever. One of the programs I'm very excited about had sent out like likely letters
Mm.
basically, and I did not get one, which doesn't mean it's impossible that I'll match there, but it's now like, it's like a highly sought after program. So like if I'm not part of their top third or so or more like cohort, then it becomes pretty unlikely that I will match there. So, but I was thinking everyone's like, oh my God, that sucks. They shouldn't do that. And while I kind of agree in principle, like they shouldn't do that, they get away with it not being a match violation because they don't actually say like, oh, you're ranked to match or blah, blah, blah. But of course, it's
Yeah.
still an indication that they're ranking you higher. And if you don't get it, like you're not ranked to match basically.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm actually thankful that if I weren't, part of the top, whatever, likely to match, that I got to process it earlier. And
Yeah, that's
just,
interesting.
but it was hard because we had taken this trip to go visit a lot of programs, and then we're at this other program, and I'm trying to get excited about it. And I'm like, wait, but this might not even work out. Like, my
Yeah.
other choices that I'm trying to get excited about. Like, just it felt like all the control, everything that I
Yeah.
thought I was like really reconciling with like how little control I felt over the situation. And then it just like
Totally.
was more stressful too because, it's not just me, it's Lucas's life too. And he's trying to find a job and to think about like he's applying to these jobs like where I match is affecting him and his work, and it just feels like so unfair that my stuff is what like just has to control his life because of the way this works.
Yeah.
um which I would say like is one of the downsides of the match, right? Because if at least we had more time to decide, let's say you could get two offers, like Lucas could then look at different programs
Right.
and actually delve into what would be better for him, and that might mean like a different outcome to us. But it's hard for him obviously with like whatever, it's like 14 programs
Yeah.
that I like to actually individually look at jobs and not even know the outcome of all these different places. Like it's just like you can't do that. So he's doing the best he can for like a lot of the top programs, and of course some of them are in the same area, but it just feels so unfair. And like I'm like thinking about, dang, like I'm like, have I been selfish too? Because I feel like, you know, thinking about my career, like a lot of the decisions that we've made have been based on like my stuff, like even like where we live. We're in Philly, but he works like a 45-minute walk from where we live. 40, it could be like, okay, 45 minutes probably for me. He does it like all the time. So it's like 35 to 40 minutes for
I know, I feel
him.
like he said 35 before, but he has longer
Okay, it's
legs.
probably
Yes.
35. It's like 45 for me. But maybe I'm like just kind of sauntering. But you know, we obviously made that decision together, but and I love our apartment. I love where we live. I'm so thankful that we live here. But it's like a 10-minute, 10 to 15-minute walk for me from the hospital. And I felt like that was really important because like just to be able to like just have more ease. Like I felt like my hours were gonna be like a little wonkier. I would have to get there earlier, which is true. But I ended up having to do a lot of rotations that weren't at this hospital right next door. Like it's been very convenient for fourth year because everything's right here. But like, he's definitely taken a lot of the brunt of like the commuting even. And I was thinking about how I have kind of that same mentality for residency where I'm like, well, I have to live close to the job because, I mean, at least residency, like, you're kind of at the same hospital most of the time
Yeah.
and, or like very close together. Um, and you do kind of have much more wonkier hours than like the normal hours, right? Like, you're doing
Yeah.
night shifts, you're doing 24 sometimes, you're like getting in at like 6 a.m., sometimes earlier, getting out sometimes 7, 8 p.m., sometimes later if you're like depending on call stuff. So in my brain, I'm just like, well, this is what everyone else does. Like, I haven't heard of anyone else like living more than 20 minutes from the hospital. Like, I can't imagine that. But then, like, I'm like, I don't know. I just had this like whole reckoning of like, wow, I have Lucas is so like, okay, yeah, I agree with that decision making, but it just sucks that that's a different, like, okay, if we have to live like 20 minutes from the hospital, like, that could mean his commute's like 40 minutes driving. Like, that's a lot. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I think it's tough. I feel like you've both, I mean, I know you say, I know medical training, yes, absolutely is like, it's really hard. You have to cast a wide net. But at the same time, I feel like you have made decisions like you really wanted to be in Philly for med school. Like, although you were open to going more places because you sort of had to be, you really tried to make it work to be in Philly, which is where he was doing his PhD. Um,
Yeah. But he
and
wouldn't have left. Like, yeah, like,
But I feel like, and even for residency, like obviously the exact location that you're in is gonna vary, but you did constrain somewhat geographically so that there was like some people are applying all over the US or all in a much broader geographic region.
yeah.
So I feel like there's still like levels of decisions that you're making together and the fact that he did his PhD in Philly because you were originally like, you kind of followed
I
each
know.
other, kept
We
following each
have.
other to Philly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I feel like I have also made ranking decisions based on ensuring like what his job market, what his opportunities are around there. Um, yeah, just trying to make his life as easy as possible. Like I actually did switch to programs. They're kind of like mid-tier programs for me, but like one of
Yeah.
them I didn't like as much as the other one, but it would be better job opportunities for Lucas. So
Yeah.
that's how I ranked it. Um, but yeah, I just want to be more cognizant of like compromising on like where I live, especially because I think for some reason I do have it in my brain like and it is kind of just like a norm that like you have to live near the hospital. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that there's other people that, live like 30 minutes away. And that doesn't sound like a big difference in 20 minutes, but there could be traffic. Like,
Yeah. If
I
you're
don't
doing
know.
a 24-hour shift or if you're doing night shift and you're leaving or driving at odd hours, it does make a pretty big difference of
Yeah,
your
15
commute.
minutes versus 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which, like,
yeah,
obviously, Lucas works very hard. He truly does. He works a lot of hours, but his hours are more regular than yours.
I
And
will
so,
say, okay, yes, I hear that. But then I just start to feel guilty. Lucas has like a chronic illness. Um, and he is like so willing to like not complain and just like do whatever. But I know that he has like bad flares, and like driving is one of the triggers, I would say, and like longer commutes can definitely contribute. So I'm trying to be more mindful of that too. That like even if he's willing to do it, like to kind of like look out for him and be like, wait, no,
Fair
I
enough.
have to be like selfless in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're, yes, I agree. And I think it sounds like you already are thinking about this piece. And there is a part of it that I feel this too. I feel like it hasn't necessarily been, I think it's been kind of equally split at different times for Jacob and me in terms of like the location that we end up. I would say like for internship for me, honestly, I prioritized his location needs. Um, and so I pretty much only applied. I can now like reveal this because I didn't want to like tip off any programs previously, but I pretty much only applied in New York City, like New York City metro area. I applied to a few programs outside that I felt like were a really strong fit for me professionally
Right.
because I just didn't know how it would work out in New York. And like, let's say I only got a couple interviews in New York, it would be like a good, like, kind of um insurance policy that okay, these programs that like are a good fit elsewhere, at least I would hopefully get interviews there. But I, in terms of ranking, I really prioritized location ultimately, even when there were programs that I felt like were like incredible fits for me that were just far away. Because Jacob really wants to be in New York City, basically.
Yeah.
And I, yeah, but then there's been other times like the fact that we've been in this area in the first place is because of my PhD. We were
Right.
living in New Jersey, but yeah, I feel like we've both kind of made these different moves at different points because of each other. And I think it will continue to be that way. It is definitely interesting, though, when you have different needs and different wants, even like different preferences of where to live. I feel like it's been something that I've tried to be more flexible on too, which I think I was with internship. And it all
Yeah.
worked out because I ended up at a program that I genuinely, even in a vacuum without Jacob's preferences, like really
That would be,
loved.
yeah.
So that's why I was like, this would be amazing because it would not only be a great program, but like location wise, it would work for our life. So it's like the perfect marriage of those things. But there were certainly programs up there that I was like not as jazzed about, but I ranked higher because ultimately we wanted to stay in New York. And so I've tried to be flexible on that too, which I think has been, yeah, a bit of a journey. But
Yeah.
I
We
think,
shall see how the cookie crumbles. I actually also ended up not ranking one of the programs that I interviewed at. And
mm,
I actually was talking with a girl who I met on the interview trail. We had been in like so many interviews together, and I
yeah.
saw her like for the fourth or fifth time in an interview. And I like Zoom DM'd her. I was like, girl, I hope this isn't weird, but this is like, I keep seeing you. And she's like, oh my gosh, here's my number. Like, text me. And we ended up having very similar programs and very similar interests. And honestly, ended up talking a lot about like our feelings on things. And we both just had a very poor experience at this one program
Yeah.
that we got an interview from. And um, I'm in a very fortunate position where I feel like I'm happy with the number of interviews I got. Of course, anything can happen. So I really had to reconcile with like, okay, what if I don't match? And
Yeah.
I could have matched at this one program. I will say, like, I'm not going to share what the program is, like, at all. But, like, a quote from a resident there was, I hope you guys have a better experience than we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really were unhappy, and there was a lot of turmoil in this program. Um, and, there was a lot of factors, like, I didn't love the location. Like, there was a lot of things that didn't, like, sit right with me. And I was talking to her, and we both were like, we would both rather do peds, I think, than go to this program. Like, I think
Yeah.
we did a
Yeah, that's a good
pediatrics
point.
residency and like pivoted into psych from there. We would be happier than training there for 3 or 4 years. Like,
Yeah,
it
that's a
just
great,
would be pretty
totally.
bad.
I also ended up not ranking a program where it was like a very similar type of interview. First of all, for me, it was in a location that I wasn't super
Jazzed
like
about.
jazzed about. We weren't sure when I initially applied there, so but then with more thought, we were basically like, I don't know if we want to move to this place. And then the nail in the coffin was that during the interview, the current interns were like, literally direct quote, like, this is harmful to my mental health. And I was like, okay, that settles it. I would rather not match than go to this program. And I was in a similar position where I was like fortunate with the number of interviews I got. I felt like it was pretty certain that I would match somewhere else. And there were programs I did still rank that I was like, I'm not amazingly jazzed, but like I could do this for a year and it would be fine. Um, but that one was just seemed so taxing. And like on top of that was like a move to somewhere we didn't super want to go. And it was just like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. So I think, yeah, it's interesting.
There's just like so much I feel like going on in my life right now, and so
Yeah.
many good things.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
but
true.
a lot. Like,
It's a
I
lot
feel
of
like
change.
Lucas and my plates are like totally full right now, even though I feel like I have more free time, but there's a lot to do. Like, I like genuinely don't know how anyone is like, because we're 34 days out, and I'm sure it even gets more, but like scheduling, now we're meeting with like the photographer again. We have to meet with the
Yeah.
band people. There's so many little details that just can't be done until sooner to the wedding. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you have to like do the seating charts and figure out,
The
then you have to
welcome
get like the
bags,
escort chart.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It just like, and these things take more time than you think. Like,
Yeah.
I guess because I care about it, but
Yeah,
like,
no, but they do like even if it's just a few hours of your time, there's a million of them.
mhm,
And at a certain point, it's just the labor of being like, okay, I'm gonna like unpack all these bags. I'm gonna sort through all the things we ordered
yes.
to put inside of them. Like even that
Yeah.
just takes a few hours. That's just one example of the like many few hour tasks that need to take place. And
Yes.
when you have other things in your life too. It's
And
like,
Lucas is so busy right now. Like, he's
yeah,
finishing up his PhD and writing his dissertation. Like,
yeah,
just like he has no time for anything. So he's very busy. So, and I don't mind really doing it. But like sometimes, like, it really is just me at some points. Like,
yeah,
he's been good about like we talk about things and like he will look at things after. But like, it's and I'm kind of the one who wants to do it too. So like I'm happy to
yeah.
do it.
I was that way too. I was
And
like,
I
I
care
actually,
more
yeah,
about the little details. So like I truly am happy to do it. I have much more time. But like, yeah, it's just me. And then, we have to like finish planning all the honeymoon stuff. Like that's not like
yeah.
completely ironed out. And then just like, yeah, just a lot. And then I have my bachelorette party this week, which I'm so excited about. And it's going to be such a good
I'm so
distraction.
excited.
I'm actually leaving
Yeah.
Tuesday for it. It's just a weekend thing, but I'm gonna get there early. We're going to like my parents' place in Tampa, which is like so fun. And um, the girls are coming out mostly like this weekend. And then um, next week, we got like after next week is match week. So I'll find out Monday if I match. And then
Yeah.
Friday's match day. And then Lucas defends his thesis that following week. And then, oh my God.
The next week, I defend my dissertation.
Next week, you defend your dissertation. I'm also flying out for my really good friend. I call her my niece's,
Your
um,
goddaughter.
my goddaughter's
Yeah.
first birthday. And
Oh,
then we come back. It's like Passover, and then it's like the wedding.
yeah.
So it's just a lot going on right
A
now.
lot. No,
But I
truly.
have very much appreciated all the distractions. My aunt took me shopping yesterday, which was an amazing distraction. And a new great distraction is that she was like, okay, bring like a bag of like old clothes to give away to Passover. So I've been kind of going through my closet. That's been good.
I love that.
Playing good Animal Crossing. That's been fun. Um, but yeah, I also have to give a shout out. So I made the welcome bags, which again, just making 65 welcome bags. Like, you're like, okay, 1 minute per bag. Like, it couldn't take like it sounds like a lot if you do a minute per bag. Like, how could it take longer than like an hour, right? Like, hour and 5 minutes, right? If it's
Sure,
65
sure.
bags. But when you think about it, you're like opening up all the things. Like, there's all
You gotta
these
get the
little,
scissor and like cut
I
open the
know, you're like cleaning
boxes
up as you
and
go. Then you're like, wait, I
yeah,
miscounted. Wait, like,
yeah,
and then you're like figuring out how to like package them up so you can move them to the car. And then, like, once you're in the car, like, there's so many extra steps that
I
you don't
know.
think about.
I know.
So that probably took like 3 hours to do with Sammy. So it was like a two-person job. But I
Yeah.
will say Alex had his friends over at my parents' house, and I was like, boys, 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 I have a job for you. Come here. And they're like, what? And they helped move. I could fit 50 in my car, which again, you're like, okay, like little welcome bags. Like you'd think that they could, like, I had
They
like a
take up, I was
hatchback.
trying to tell you, I was like, they take up a
No,
lot
I
of
know they take up
space.
a lot of space. I was able to fit more than I think, whatever. Okay.
Okay.
I know they take up a lot of space. Whatever. But I'm glad I did it now so that I had like an empty car to just do it in instead of like
Yeah.
a time where like we had to bring more stuff too. But they helped to like pack up the car, which was like so helpful because we're like bringing it. Somehow they're so heavy too. It just, oh my gosh. But while we're doing this, Will was like, "Where's my episode?" I was like, "Missy's in Canada." So he didn't
Yes.
film. But we need to give him a shout out because one, he's a
Yes.
great
Shout out to
listener,
Will.
and two, he helped me pack the car.
Yes.
So I appreciate you, Will. You're a real one, and thank you.
That's so sweet. I feel like I have to shout out, this is very random, but yesterday I was at like an old college friend's birthday. I don't even know if this is someone you've ever met, Allie. It's like we've kind of lost touch like mostly since college, but he actually just started his PhD in Philly. And then he did like a birthday party in New York. And then he was like, I listen to Depressy. Like I've been following. I was like,
Oh
that's so
my
sweet. So
gosh.
shout out to SJ. I see you, and that's so
Thank you,
sweet that
SJ.
yes. So I feel like just inspired to shout him out because I was so touched. Um, but okay. I feel like we rapid fire stressy depressy because we haven't done
Sure,
that.
you go first.
Okay, mine is if you're watching this, hopefully I don't think it's that obvious because I'm wearing makeup. However, I my acne has been really not great in the past few months, and it's only been maybe we're turning a little bit of a corner, but I can't tell if I'm just like delulu a little bit. Like, you know, when you like really
Yeah.
want it to be better and you're like, yeah, it's a little better. Like it yeah. I can't tell if I'm that because then when I really look at it, no makeup, I'm like, it's just objectively not great. It's pretty bad. And obviously, again, I'm wearing makeup now, so if you're looking at me and you're like, what? Like, just
Just
know
use
that
your
I've done
imagination.
a lot of cover up and I'm not trying to like I feel like it could come off as like oh I barely see it because when other people who like barely have acne say stuff like that I'm like well what do you think of me the fact that you're barely
No,
broken out and you're
literally.
saying that so I don't want it to come off that way just know that you probably cannot see it at all if you're or maybe even maybe you see it ever so slightly but like just trust that it really is that bad and I've done a pretty intensive cover up job on myself and the mic kind of covers some of it too. So just trust that it is that bad and it's something that I've just kind of been processing and working through because it's honestly kind of affected my self-esteem a bit if we're being
Aw,
honest and I'm out
you
here like wearing makeup every
can't.
day now because I'm like it's at the point where I'm like it's pretty
I
stark.
know.
So, which probably isn't helping with the acne, but we're kind of in this rut, unfortunately. So I'm kind of working through that. And I would say that's my of the week.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, skin stuff is literally the worst. Um, I picked, I would say actually on the same vein, I'll do this for my stressy depressy. I think my picking has increased.
Oh,
You
really?
know,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
okay though. We're gonna rein it in again. But I picked something above my lip. I don't even know if you can't really see it because I covered it up and it is better. But I like barely picked at it. It really pissed me off because I didn't even do a lot. And I just feel like that skin there is so fragile that I was like, I am now a crater and I will scab over and be really weird. So I was just walking around with like, I don't even know. It just looked so bad, like right
Oh,
above my lip, like right here. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
it is what it is. I feel like there's certain placements of where I pick or have acne that's just worse, right? Like if you have it like on the backs of your cheeks, like whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
see it as much. But when it's like around your mouth, I feel like that's where it's the worst. It's so annoying.
Yeah. No, totally. I know. It's really tough. It's like I feel like so at least for me, I feel like I have truly been to the dermatologist, tried all the products, really given them their
She's
go.
been
And
on
then
Accutane, people,
I've been on Accutane previously. Like now this was
over
like
10 years
over
ago.
10
But
years ago at this point. Um or about 10 years ago. 9 years ago. Yeah. 9 years ago. But at that point for a good amount of time actually my skin totally cleared up and that was great and I feel like ever like then starting honestly during COVID and it's tough to say like chicken or egg here because it could have just been like phase of life that it started to creep back
right,
but I feel like wearing masks a lot really I would be breaking out a ton around my mouth
right.
and I did all the things like I wouldn't wear makeup. I would wash my face regularly. I would change out my mask, wear a disposable one. Like I really tried to do everything, but I honestly for like several years was in places where they were just required all the time inside.
Yeah.
Um honestly until a couple years ago. So I just feel like that really and again, it could have happened anyway because dermatologists also tell me like, oh, this is more of like an adult pattern of acne to have it be around your mouth versus like I used to break out more in like my T zone, I would say.
I know,
Um,
same.
so like it's possible that that is just like I was at the age where that's a thing, but to me it feels like the masks caused it. Just because that was correlation doesn't equal causation, but that was the chain of events. And it's just been worsening and worsening ever since to the point where I would say this year it's just at an all time bad. And I'm just trying every product, like everything that like you read online, you read on Reddit, everyone anecdotally tries to give me XYZ advice. I'm like, I am already doing that. Like I am doing everything they tell you to do. And it's just really raging. So I really don't know. Uh, it's just we're
That's
gonna
so
face.
frustrating.
I know, I know. So
Um, I
anyway,
don't
radical
even know.
acceptance.
Ugh, like between eczema and acne, we're just,
We are not
fighting the
blessed.
good fight
I
around
know,
here. And your
truly.
hives, it just,
I know hives. The minute my hives started to get better, my acne got worse. It was like you trade, and I'd probably make that trade. I suppose. Like the hives were just a like all the time uncomfortable and at least if I'm not looking at myself now I'm like kind of forgetting about it but yeah so I'd probably take the trade but it really was like the minute my hives started to improve like my acne got worse. I don't know. uh
yeah. Ugh, poor Missy.
it's okay, it's a tiny
I
violin,
know.
all our stressy depressies are, so
I know
I'm
they are, but it's
overall
okay.
counting my blessings and I though I'm harping on this, I genuinely feel like so lucky at this point in my life right now where I'm like my personal life things work with match, like I'm excited about where I'm going professionally and I'm defending my dissertation, it's your wedding, like I am just like
I
so
know,
many good things right
but
now.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, should we go into our topic?
Yes, let's do it. Without
What's our
further ado,
what's our topic?
our topic is judging.
Judgment.
Judgment.
It's interesting
You
because oh wait, you
I was gonna
go.
say you wanted to do this topic, so if you want to intro.
Oh, sure. I think I've been thinking about it more because I'm now in a DBT class,
Hmm.
where I get to observe DBT stuff and talk about it.
Dialectical
And
behavior therapy.
yes, it's like
Yes.
a manualized group therapy, often for people with borderline personality disorder, but a lot of people can benefit from it. A lot of people who just like have emotions that they're having trouble managing.
Yeah. Honestly, even
And
the skills have been used in like a prevention context at this point. So people who aren't really having any kind of profound mental health problem, but are interested in learning these skills, like now there's like pretty good evidence that it works for pretty much anyone, which is
yeah,
cool.
no, there are definitely skills that I feel like I can pick and choose from that,
Yeah.
like what works for you and things that make you think a different way. But one of the tenets of DBT is kind of noticing judgments.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember a previous DBT group that I've like observed in had like a judgment bell that when someone made a judgment, you would like they would ring the bell. So
Yeah.
it's and you know, anytime in this group someone like makes a judgment, they'll be like, is that a judgment? You know, they don't like ring a bell, you're not like in trouble, but you're at least noticing it and
Yeah.
maybe trying to stay away from it and trying to describe things differently. But the DBT definition of judgment is different than what you might just think of judgment. Like, I feel like I went in like, wait, how is that a judgment? Like, they're just saying
Right. Right. It's
that,
not like when I think judgment, I think, oh, that person is ugly or something like that. Like, if that's what you're thinking, that it's like a square rectangle situation, I feel, where it's like that would be a judgment in DBT language. But
yes,
DBT has a much broader definition of a judgment, which is basically anything that's not a cold, hard fact. Like
yes,
anything that is not could not pass a fact checker, like anyone with their own two eyes can see this, is called a judgment. And it's not, as Ali was saying, it's not like a negative connotation. I feel like sometimes people feel that way because when we think judgment, it's like, again, that person's ugly. Like we think, oh, that's a no-no. But in DBT, it's the idea is truly not that you're like ridding yourself of them per se, but that you're like noticing them. Noticing when you're inserting your own layer of opinion around something, which is not always a bad thing by any means. It's just like the act of being aware, oh, this is my opinion versus this is a fact, base if that makes sense.
yes, yeah. So things like, I feel like this comes up a lot, and honestly, DBT people are very well practiced. Like even the people in the groups about like
Yeah.
you'll do a mindfulness activity, and then maybe you'll make like an observation after, and like the observation is going to be like, I noticed that my thoughts kept going to other places, or I noticed that my foot was tapping. It's not that you wouldn't say, for example, or it wouldn't be encouraged to say, I noticed I'm really bad at this.
Right.
Or I
Right.
noticed that,
Or
yeah,
even
that,
saying something that's not necessarily quote unquote bad, but just saying, I've had people in like DBT groups be like, oh, so and so seemed annoyed. And it's like, you don't know. That's not a cold, hard fact. Like, you don't know how that other person felt. If that other person were to say, I had the feeling of being annoyed, that could be a fact, absolutely. But if you're ascribing that onto someone else, that is a quote unquote judgment. Again, just with the not with any kind of negative connotation, but just that you are assuming how that person feels. Instead, like
yeah,
Ali mentioned, you could say, oh, I noticed that they rolled their eyes. That would be an example of a fact because anyone who observed that would might have seen that they rolled their eyes or that their foot was tapping. Um, and so it could be something that you're saying is like bad, but it could also just be even something good. I like, oh, I see that so and so is happy. I see, like, you don't know that. Again, they might be able to share that,
yeah.
but
I've seen it
you
also
don't
like,
know that.
for example, describing food. You wouldn't be like, ugh,
Yeah,
it was so disgusting. You'd say, oh,
exactly.
the texture is chewier than I expected.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you, that
It's
is more of
different
a
than the foods that
fact.
I tend to enjoy. Yeah, exactly. I noticed a
Yes.
feeling of, and if it's your own experience, you can name that as a fact and not a judgment. So if you're saying, like, I had the feeling of disgust come up, like that can be
Sure,
a fact
yes.
that comes up
But
for
you can't say,
you.
oh, this food is yucky, because that's not a fact.
Right.
You
It's
didn't
not a
enjoy it,
universal
but
truth. Exactly. You might not have enjoyed it, which you can absolutely share as a non judgment, but you don't know Like it's not a cold hard fact. And again, I think there can be this, yes, in DBT you want to, there's many points where you might want to refrain from judgments, but ultimately the idea is just you really get practiced in essentially noticing when you're judging, when those judgments are
Right.
coming up. Because a lot of times, especially people who are in DBT, who, like, again, now it's applied more broadly, but folks who are like closer to that borderline personality disorder, like, kind of
Archetype. Yeah.
umbrella, often have a really hard time distinguishing between their opinion and a fact. So
Right.
they might say, like, this person is awful, or they are annoyed at me, and really believe that to be a universal truth. And so part of the skill is actually just really learning, like, oh, that's a hypothesis that I might have, that this person is annoyed at me. Why do I think that? Okay, they rolled their eyes. Okay, they didn't answer me when I asked them a question. But to really distinguish, like, maybe there's many cases where that could be due to something totally out different, you know? Who's
Yes.
to say? So part of it is just like really building that muscle of like separating fact from fiction, or fact from not even fiction, fact from your own opinion, which is
Yeah.
still very
Objective
valid.
versus subjective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not to say that the subjective is not valid, and many times it really is. There's a time and place for that, but it's just learning to distinguish what's what.
Yes. Um, but one thing that had me thinking was at one point in this DBT session, um, the therapist was really positing that these judgments that we place on others um, negatively impact us is kind of like a blanket statement. That the
Mm,
more we judge others, and again, we can talk about what definition she was using there, the more that we suffer. Like, the
mm,
more that increases suffering, basically, if we are judging others. I think in that context, she was more discussing, like, the more we are, like, paying attention and thinking, like, oh, that person's so annoying. Or, oh,
right.
that person, I don't like their hair. Like,
Yeah,
that really looks bad on them.
yeah,
The way that person talks is like so dumb, like things like
right.
that. The more you're noticing that around you and giving that the time of day, the more upset you are, and the more you might also be judging yourself for things like, just overall, you're flexing that muscle. So if you're able to just kind of be like, right, you have an interaction with someone, you're like, moving on with your day, not ruminating on it or not thinking about it or just not even placing a judgment on it, just
More
going
building that
on.
muscle of like naming facts. So instead of like that outfit is so ugly, just being like, I wouldn't have chosen that outfit if it were me. And moving on. Like, it sounds like a subtle difference. And it's not like you can never decide that you don't like
Yeah.
someone's outfit. It's not saying that. But just the more that you flex that muscle of taking that almost like distance from it, the less negativity you are letting into your life,
Yeah.
is the idea.
And I think that's like a hard thing to think about sometimes because I do think that on a global, like in your life, a global scale of like, yes, when I'm happier, I just naturally notice I'm not paying attention right to all the little things and all the things that are going wrong and all the things that I dislike and really not judging others the same way. Like, right, like if you're in a good mood and maybe you don't like how the barista talked to you or something at Starbucks, you're kind of just like, huh, okay, that was weird. And then like move on.
Right.
Versus if I'm already in a bad mood, for example, and the barista, I'm like,
Yeah.
they are just the worst. I cannot believe that they treat people like this. Like it becomes a bigger thing. And now I am
Yeah.
more upset.
Right.
So I do feel that way. But, it is just like human nature to think about things. And it feels like, well, should I just be a robot? Like, it can feel
Right.
like invalidating to just like the human experience of like, well, I'm a person experiencing all these things. Like, of course I'm going to have opinions. And like, where do you draw that line of like having opinions and moving through life and having your own values, for example? Like,
Mm,
I really don't think that you're a good person if you do X, Y, Z. Like, there might be some
mm,
valid things behind that statement, right? Like, I don't think you're a good person if you like constantly are putting others down to make yourself feel better. Like, sure,
right.
right? That could be like a factual, well, a more objective like statement. But
Yeah.
then it kind of goes into a place where you're really just putting your own feelings and your own unique like viewpoint onto other people and thinking that if they don't meet that standard that that means something very negative about them.
Right. I think, and that's where the dialectic of dialectical behavior therapy comes in ultimately, I think, where anytime, like, even though there's many aspects of DBT that sound extreme to be like never judge,
Right.
it actually never says never judge. It's
Yes.
much more about
Yeah.
noticing, and it's a constant practice of like, oh, that was a judgment, and almost like titrating how much you want to move forward with like, yeah, this is my opinion, versus and owning it as such, like this is just how I feel, versus like this is a fact. And if you don't believe me and if you don't wholeheartedly agree, then there's something wrong. Because that could be another thing that comes up when someone's like, this person is mean or this person is annoyed at me. And then someone else is like, I don't know. I mean, I saw them kind of look away, but I wasn't sure if that was just because they didn't hear you. Then someone who is having a harder time distinguishing between a judgment and facts might start to feel really invalidated and be like, no, they're mean, they're annoying, like they're annoyed at me or whatever. And it becomes this like butting of heads of, if you don't agree with my opinion, something's wrong, right? And so that's, I think, part of the reason why we try to separate the two. But at the same time, I think we're always recognizing that we will, even if you are an expert in DBT and you've been practicing this forever, you will continue to always have judgments. It's part of being human, absolutely. Sometimes you might even decide to move forward with it and like just own it. That was a judgment that I'm having, meaning that's essentially my opinion. But being continuing to practice just noticing them and owning whichever is the case, if it's a
Yes.
fact or if it's your opinion.
I think that is kind of where it comes in is that level of awareness of the
Yeah.
situation and building that muscle that, yeah, we could all try to give, to just pay less attention almost
Or give
to,
less like factual precedence of like, this is 100% universally true. You know?
yes, yes. And to, yeah, I'm just thinking about like, I, yeah, just giving less mind to just because someone's not living their life the way you think they should, or they are doing things that you don't like or look a certain way that you don't like, that could just not bother you at all. Like, why does that bother you, right? Like, why is that
Yeah.
something that you're paying attention to or thinking about when it doesn't affect you? Um, but in the same breath, if you do have those judgments, just being aware, like, so that I think that in general, like, because what you're saying, it leaves some flexibility in there for other opinions, and you can notice, where you can start to lessen that rigidity of your thinking.
Another thing, as I was hearing you talking, is someone might be hearing this for the first time or be newer to this information and think, okay, if I'm not supposed to ever, which is still not true, but like, let's say you thought, okay, I'm not supposed to ever really believe my judgments or give them center stage. Like, but what if someone really isn't my cup of tea? Am I just supposed to like be friends with them still? Like, what am I'm supposed to like them no matter what? And that's also
No.
not the case.
No. Yeah.
Um, and actually, I think there's logic that can follow, even if we're taking this framework of like, don't really engage with your judgments, which is if you notice like your own emotions can be a fact. That doesn't have to be a
Yes.
judgment. So if you have an experience of I'm noticing a feeling of being annoyed, I'm noticing a feeling of being upset, angry, hurt when I'm around this person, you can just take it upon yourself to say, that's not a way that I want to live my life, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if we are just completely freeing ourselves of judgments, you can still take that logic, which is still not really the case in DBT. We're more just kind of noticing them. But even if we're fully trying to live on facts only, you can still say things like, I notice when I'm around this person, I feel pretty anxious and hurt sometimes. I notice that they tend to say things. Maybe it's they're making comments about how I look a lot. Like maybe they're using a lot
Yeah.
of judgments around me. And that in turn, I'm noticing feelings of upset, hurt, etc. Like you might be like, okay, using only facts, zero judgments in that case, I'm going to decide to take a step away from that person.
Yes.
That said, again, it's not like you only ever have to use facts for these things. And that is where it's always that push and pull. You're trying to notice judgments, trying to minimize them. At the same time, you're also encouraged to just like define your own values and make sort of judgment calls in a way. Make steps toward your values that might not be objective for everyone, but really do work for you personally. And it's always that tension, that sort of give and take between these different sides of things in DBT. So that's what I'll say with that.
Yeah. And I think you can even take it to like, I think like noticing times when you're, quote, judging yourself. Okay, I'll give an example. I am in PT and I did not do my PT exercises. I can either go into PT and be like, I am literally a piece of shit.
Right.
I'm the worst because I didn't do my PT exercises. That
Right.
means I'm
Right.
lazy. That means I'm like not committed to getting better. Or I can just say, I'm annoyed because I didn't do my PT exercises and it's a goal of mine to do them. So I want to do them next week. Right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that is just like a statement of fact. And neither of them changes what happens, but it can
Exactly.
change your kind of suffering, right? And how you're viewing the situation. So I've tried to like more, I think it also reminds me of just like the body neutrality movement instead of like the
Yeah, a little bit.
body
Yeah.
positivity, right? Of just like you notice things and they don't necessarily evoke like an emotional valence, or you don't attach a like, well, this is good and
Universal
this is
truth.
bad. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, my pants are feeling a little snugger than they did a couple months ago. Maybe that means I need to get new pants. Or like, maybe they
Right.
shrunk in the wash. Or maybe I did put, like, you're just noticing these things.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean,
Exactly.
oh my God, I can't believe, like, whatever. And also, things can change. So even things that you're like, I love that, you know what, I'm going to use a random example. My feet have increased in size. You might say, how is this
Yeah.
possible? But apparently running can genuinely like flatten your arches a little bit. So your feet are now a
Yeah.
bigger size, right? If I were like, so like, I love that I'm a size 6 and
Right.
feeling so body positive about this. And now I'm a size 6.5, even a size 7 at times. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my, I'm losing this part of me. Instead of just being like, truly, I do think that feet size is usually something that people are pretty neutral on by themselves. It's just like okay,
Yeah.
maybe now I need to buy shoes that are a little bigger. Okay.
Totally. And it's not to say also that you can't have your emotions around these things, that if you
No, of
do feel
course.
sad
Yeah.
or you do feel upset, that you should just ignore that. Because again, your feelings can be a fact too. If it's your experience of the feeling, you can name that as a fact. It's really just about, I think we've talked about this in prior episodes, this kind of idea that we know that our thoughts influence how we feel. But we a lot of times, like Allie was saying previously, we feel like we have to be in a better mood before our thoughts are sort of in a better
Yes.
mood. Like we have to feel like we're feeling better before we can have these more like neutral outlooks on things. Like Allie was saying with like, oh, this person treated me in a certain, like, maybe used language toward me that is not how I would want to treat other people or something like that. If we're in a better mood already, we might be more willing to brush that off versus if we're in a not great mood. But what we don't often think about is that we can go in the reverse order too. That if we do really try our best to kind of like manage our thoughts and like notice and cull them from harmful judgments when possible, we end up feeling better. And it's not to say that we should just ignore when we're feeling more difficult emotions. Absolutely not. But we often notice that with time, we can reduce our suffering a bit. We can minimize those negative emotions just a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that it's interesting because as I've accepted certain things about myself, I accept them about other people.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
as I accept things about other people, I accept them more about myself. Like,
Yeah,
if, I don't know, I'm like, oh my God, that frizzy hair looks so bad. Like, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. And then I have frizzy hair, right? I'm like, oh my God, do I look like that? That's
totally.
terrible. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, everyone's thinking about me and how bad my hair looks. Versus if in that moment, previously, I'm looking at this girl with frizzy hair and I'm thinking, huh, her hair's frizzy. And then
Totally.
just move on. Like, maybe I think that can also help you not judge yourself because everyone
Totally.
has moments that they're not proud of or that they aren't feeling or want looking the way they want to look or whatever it is, right? So if you have the opportunity to practice that on other people sometimes.
Totally. I know. I've been thinking about that with like skin stuff, honestly, because it's like when I am harsh toward myself, then I'm more inclined, not necessarily to like negatively judge other people for their skin, but I'm more inclined to like notice it with other people
Right.
and be like, oh my gosh, this person does have a lot of breakouts or something. And even just being more attuned to it. And I think the more that I try to practice, and it's definitely a work in progress because it's really something I'm working to accept within myself, but it kind of is that I do notice that reciprocal. Again, not that I'm having negative. It's actually interesting because it's like when it's other people, I'm not thinking negatively about them. But I do think even just like attuning to it more is like probably also making me attune to my own acne more. And
Yes.
so it's like this reciprocal relationship where
I
it's like,
remember even being like, when I've had bad breakouts, looking at people with clear skin, just be like,
yes,
wow, their skin is amazing. They just must be
totally.
walking around so happy. Oh my God. And they must be looking at me thinking, oh my God, my skin looks like those quote positive judgments can even be harmful sometimes, right? Because
Totally. Because you're giving it all this space in your brain.
yes. Yeah.
It's such a good point. Yeah. So it's something that I'm noticing and trying to practice. And it's a continual practice, as we've talked about. It's like the goal is you're always working toward noticing the judgments so that you can do away with any that are harmful to your life. Or just own where certain things are your own judgment versus a cold, hard fact. But it's like a continual practice. Unless you're a robot, you're going to continue to have them for the rest of your
Yeah.
life, and that's a
And
part
that's
of the human
okay.
experience. Yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily the goal to do away with them. It's just
No.
yeah, yeah,
How do you see what's serving you and how do you notice and maybe have room for flexibility in your thoughts and beliefs?
totally, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
yeah, thanks, and excited to be on the other side of
Oh
match,
my
and so
God.
excited that
I'm like
next.
covering my face.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we'll see when the next time we record is. Where, as you can probably tell, this season is a little busier for us. So
Oh my
we're not
gosh.
recording every single week, but we will bring you another episode soon, and we may or may not have more news about Allie, but we shall see.
Okay. Bye,
Okay,
guys.
bye.